Business Matters. The title suggests many things. The important issue is the world revolves around business, society, organizations, individuals, and even religion survives and thrives because of business. Business has to encompass not just financial commodity and service transactions. It has also to include welfare, justice, empowerment, environmental, and other issues too. Every week, Business Matters will delve into aspects of business that impact our lives. We will seek out extraordinary and ordinary people who have done extraordinary things. Facilitators, educators, and entrepreneurs will be invited to inspire and enlighten our listeners. Join Anwar Mullah for an interactive show and find out what really matters in business.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Yes, we've turned into a new month, the 1st of March, and it's Tuesday evening, which means it's Business Matters. Business Matters with me, Anwar Mullah, on Radio Ansaar, brought to you by the Minara Chamber of Business. Really exciting guest in the studio with me tonight, and I'm going to introduce him just now. Talking to us about a really exciting event that's coming up in KZN in the next month. So without much further ado, my guest tonight is a gentleman called Neville Matjie. And Neville is the Chief Executive Officer or the CEO of Trade and Investment KZN. Neville, a very, very warm welcome to Radio Al Ansar.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Lovely to have you in the studio. Lovely. Thanks for giving up your Tuesday evening and spending some time with us. Neville, before we get into the gist of tonight's program, which is basically talking about the World Halal Day, which is a really exciting opportunity coming to KZN sometime during the March, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. You're going to tell us more about that. Let's start by telling us a little bit about yourself. You're the CEO of Trade and Investment KZN. I mean, that's a fantastic position to be holding. But tell us a little bit about your early days and how you got to being where you are today.
No, thank you so much. Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal is the official investment promotion agency for the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I started working at Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal in 2003. So part of the furniture, and started with the investment promotion side, working with investors coming into the province. Then during the credit crunch, I then set up the business retention unit, specifically focusing on servicing all the investors that had already invested but were having challenges. And then moved on to head up the export side of the organization, and then eventually led to myself heading up the institution.
Trade and Investment KZN, is it a government organization funded by government, or where do you fit in?
Yes, we are 100% owned by, and our shareholder being the Provincial Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs. We have a board of directors, so we are a state entity. The chairperson of the board is Ms. Ina Cronier, former MEC for Finance, and we've got also board members who come from a broad spectrum of industry. And I report to the board and also directly into our mother Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, to MEC Ravi Pillay.
Okay, before we get into the KZN Trade and Investment in Indaba, post-COVID, how are you guys finding things? Is there been a recovery? Are you seeing the people coming back? Businesses starting to flourish again?
Absolutely. I mean, COVID is unprecedented, has really created a lot of and caused a lot of havoc in terms of business confidence in moving into markets. We saw a number of investors put a pause on their investment decisions. Others completely withdrew their investment decisions purely because of COVID. And other companies that we had assisted to establish, unfortunately, some that actually established just before COVID have actually now decided to to downscale. Others have gone under. So COVID, unfortunately, was not very positive, particularly for new entrants into the market. But within that, a lot of the companies that have already been existing within KZN have continued operation. And I must also indicate that those investors who had actually put a pause button on their investments, we've seen some coming back onto the fore. As recent as the end of last year, you would have seen a number of investments that the Premier, the former President, President, launching in KZN. So a lot of those companies showing that they are confident about the investment climate in KwaZulu-Natal.
And if I may just ask, what's happening at the ports? Because that seems to be a perennial problem with a lot of people battling to get the goods into the country.
I know that the Transnet crew, there's a firm commitment from Transnet to ensure that they deal with the congestion at the port. In some instances, they, as high as the CEO of Transnet, the group CEO, Portia, who has actually been to KZN quite a few times to look at how they can improve efficiencies at the port of Durban. They've made a lot of strides. You would have seen some adverts that have gone out in terms of expression of interest that is requested, specifically for the expansion of the port and some of the major exciting developments that have actually been workshopped by Portia Derby and her team in KZN.
Okay, from a KZN trade and investment perspective, can you just tell us about some of the latest, newest investments that you guys have been working on? Some hot news that you've just bagged, kind of thing.
Well, the most recent, of course, would have been the Web Help. It's a major call center up in Umhlanga. You would have seen Tetra Pak, the company in Pinetown that has gone through a major expansion, 500 million rand. And of course, exciting news about Toyota, the Toyota Cross which was launched last year.
It's already become one of the best sellers.
Correct,
here.
100%. So those are just some of the exciting events. But of course, post the July riots, we're seeing a lot of development in those buildings that actually suffered the greatest. Lots of exciting opportunities. I know ShopRite Checkers has really come in aggressively to re-establish themselves within the market. Massmart was one of the first companies that came out quite strongly indicating their continued investments, and they were actually expanding even more in KZN. So all the hiccups that we've had have not actually dampened a lot of businesses. But having said that, a lot of the small to medium-sized companies are still struggling, because those riots, unfortunately, were not too positive in terms of the pockets of, especially the small, medium-sized, the mom and dad shops, small business owners who don't really have deep pockets and who actually funded the businesses themselves. Those are the ones that really are struggling to emerge out of the hiccup that we had last year in July.
Okay, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and I'm not sure if you have all the answers, but you certainly seem to. We seem to be our own worst enemies in chasing the tourists away, because we have this problem where our beaches are not able to be swam in from time to time. Is there something concrete being done in terms of solving that problem where we have this E. coli issues taking place and also other effluent that comes into the sea and causes a problem with the beaches not being able to be swam in?
Look, I can tell you now, my MEC, Ravi Pillay, is working around the clock to ensure that he deals, because he's responsible for environment as well.
Right.
And he is constantly convening a task team to ensure that they are on top of their game in dealing with some of the challenges that we are experiencing along our coast. And of course, his mandate is not only just at a provincial level, it's also to work closely with the city of Durban and all the other coastal towns to ensure that from a quality perspective, our blue flag status is not diminished completely. We've got to make sure that we maintain that, because the other part that the other hat our MEC wears is that of tourism.
Sure.
So he's got a balance between tourism and environmental affairs. So we've got to make sure that from the environment side, we are fully compliant, and the issues after the July unrest last year, the UPL dilemma. So he was really closely working on that to ensure that those issues are resolved.
Excellent. I think I like you. You're saying all the right things. But anyway, we're gonna see you. We're gonna put you on the spot and make sure that your department performs. Let's get down to what we're talking about today, which is the trade and investment in Indaba. Is this an annual event or?
Yes, this is an annual event. As Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal, we're responsible for the investment attraction into the province, both for foreign direct investment as well as local investors. And we're also responsible for export trade. So encouraging our companies that are already exporting or companies that want to export, we help them and teach them about international trade and get them into international markets. So we host 2 annual events, one that focuses on the investment side, which is this investment in Indaba, which is about to be held on the 22nd and 23rd of March. It will be at the Durban ICC. And this year we have been working closely, and we worked with United World Halal Group, which is in Singapore, that actually have a World Halal Day status, which has been rotating in different countries. This year it will be hosted right here in Durban, under the auspices of the Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal. So in partnership with the team from Singapore, we will actually be hosting not only our investment in Indaba, but also World Halal Day.
Wow.
Why halal? It's a huge market.
Right.
I've personally been to different halal markets, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Gulf states, a number of them where I've actually realized there's a huge market for the halal products. You will see the Western Cape has done a lot of work from a tourism side on the halal space, but we are purely focusing on the entrepreneurship in terms of products that actually support the halal market. So annually, we've been taking companies to Gulf Foods and other international platforms where they can showcase their products. But this year, we wanted to bring the conference here to Durban. And as part of that will also be an exhibition to showcase what KZN can produce in terms of the halal space.
Yes, speaking about the halal tourism, I was in Cape Town about 10 days ago, and one thing that struck me and stood out is walking through the waterfront in the Cape waterfront and in some of the touristy places, one could hear Arabic being spoken or Middle Eastern languages being spoken all the time, and the tourists are back in the Cape. I can tell you that much. You can hear all the foreign accents. But one thing that stood out was there's a lot of Arab tourism coming through to the Western Cape. We don't seem to be attracting that type of tourists to KZN. Well, I don't think we're attracting a fraction of the tourists that come through to Cape Town and then go through to the Kruger Park and maybe Sun City. So we a little bit on the backwaters down here.
I wouldn't really call it backwaters. You must remember that each destination, what appeals to you may not necessarily appeal to me in terms of a destination. In terms of the international market, most certainly we don't attract the volumes that Cape Town does, and our focus has been purely as a first start was to try and create linkages for the tourists to come directly into Durban. Hence, you would have seen in the last few years, unfortunately, COVID created problems for us, but we had already gotten good traction, but we're getting back there. The Emirates flying directly to Durban, Qatar Airways flying directly to Durban, and of course, at one stage, Turkish Airlines, we had British Airways, we had a number of these airlines flying directly to Durban. That was one of our commitments towards trying to get the tourists directly into to Durban rather than routing them through Gauteng. So there is a committee that sits chaired by Tourism KZN as well as Dubai Trade Port. I form part of that committee as a sister entity of the two entities, in order to not only deal with the tourists, but I focus on the belly of the aircraft, because it's going to come in full, leave full. Okay. So that's how we've been able to balance that. So most certainly efforts are there to continue the attraction of tourists into KZN. You mentioned tourists from the Gulf. That's the next phase of our program. The first is to ensure that from a product perspective, we can produce and become the number one producer of halal products, not only in South Africa, but in the continent. That is our aim.
Wow. Okay.
Hence, we're focusing purely on the manufacturing side and the industry side. Right. Then the second half of that would then be to deal with our establishment. Are they now halal friendly? Are they able to accommodate tourists that that have embraced Islam and are able to ensure that we are able to cater for them?
Wow. I see Emirates are back, Qatar is back, British Airways and Turkish not so, but is there plans to get them back shortly?
Absolutely. We are definitely committed towards that. We are having discussions with them. Right. Of course, it will take a while because COVID created major challenges, but it's getting there. SAA will be coming back to Durban, and of course there'll be linkages with other markets within the SADC region. Harare will be coming back, Lusaka will be coming back. So slowly they'll be coming back, and of course Mauritius, and we're hoping that Seychelles will come back as well. So those are some of the destinations that we're currently talking to.
Excellent. Neville, unfortunately we have to stop and take a bit of a break for the news, and we'll be back in roughly 10 minutes time, and then we're going to continue the discussion on the KZN Trade and Investment Indaba, and specifically on the Halal Day, which is going to be excitingly right here in Durban. So let's take a break.
Radio Ansaar, Durban, South Africa.
Business Matters.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you've just joined us, you're on Radio Ansaar. It's a Tuesday evening and it's the Business Matters program with me, Anwar Mullah. And if you were with us before the news break, you would have heard our respected guest in the studio this evening. Really, really interesting person. And he is the CEO of Trade and Investment KZN, Mr. Neville. Mikey is filling us in on some of the exciting events that are taking place in Durban or in KZN, and nothing more exciting than the Trade and Investment Indaba that's taking place in March. Neville, the dates of this Indaba?
The Indaba will be between the 22nd, 23rd and 24th. Okay. But I'll qualify the 24th, the Presidential Investment Conference in Gauteng will be taking place. So we will start our program, but then we'll live stream to the Presidential Conference. But the 22nd and 23rd are the core events, and they also include World Halal Day. And our partners in this, Minara Chamber, has really worked very closely with us to ensure that we market World Halal Day for KwaZulu-Natal, and we're very thankful to them, as well as other agencies such as Sanha and all the other rating agencies who've really been our partners.
Okay, World Halal Day is what we're focusing on, right? Is this a day that's celebrated annually in the Muslim countries, or where does this World Halal Day come from?
Yes, it is celebrated annually. Most times it's either end of October, beginning of November. We were supposed to have held World Halal Day 2 years ago in Durban, but COVID created its challenges. Then we moved it to last year. And of course, when we got close to the date of World Halal Day last year, we had the wave here in KZN, and unfortunately we had to just take components of it online. Right. And this year we've decided to go ahead with it, albeit it's now in March. We felt it's important that we still deliver the World Halal Day, because it's not just about the day, it's also about the intent. The intent is to promote entrepreneurship and to promote companies that are producing products that are entering the halal space.
Okay, just to put it into perspective, the World Halal Day or the Indaba that's taking place, is there a world organization that decides on which country hosts this each year, and how far in advance is this done? or do you get allocated this? How or do you? Does it go like the World Cup? Everybody kind of bids for it, and then they decide on who to give it to.
We're working closely with an organization called United World Halal Group, which is stationed in Singapore.
Right.
And this group actually has had World Halal Day as a brand that has been moving from one country to the other. The last country that hosted World Halal Day was Samara, which is in the Russian Federation, which was 2019, just before COVID hit us.
Yeah.
And then we went to Samara and we got the key to host it for 2020. Unfortunately, COVID then delayed us. This year, we're supposed to hand over the key now to the Tatarstan, which is another republic within the Russian Federation that also has a great population of Muslim. And they also host a number of halal-related events.
Okay.
So I don't think they'll be able to join us because of course, some of the challenges that we're witnessing currently in Europe.
Yes, with what's happening in Ukraine, I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but hopefully you don't have exhibitors that pull out at the last moment. But let's talk about the exhibitors. I mean, how many countries are you expecting to come out here?
Currently, we've got an indication of about 15 countries.
Wow. Okay.
And whether they all are able to come through because of the challenges, we're still monitoring that quite extensively at the moment. But so far, 6 have already given us a lot of the information. So we're just hoping that it will build up and grow up to that number of 15 countries. So it's not just exhibitors, it'll also be potentially investors into the sector, because we don't want people only bringing in product. We're looking at people who want to buy our product also and take it to their markets, or those investors who are interested in investing in KZN or those that are looking for partners.
Okay, excellent. I mean, these 6 countries that have definitely confirmed that they're coming, in inverted commas, plus you're expecting plus or minus 15 countries. Are these official delegations of those countries?
Yes. Those will be official delegations that will be coming through for the World Halal Day here in Durban. And we're quite excited about it because, again, as I've mentioned with our partners here in KZN, Minara Chamber has really worked hard in supporting our event and ensuring that we can ensure great presence of KZN-based companies. A lot of the Minara Chamber companies will also be participating.
Well, I was just about to ask that. It says locally, as in South African companies. Do you have many people from South African companies that are going to be exhibiting their products?
Yes, we will be. Currently, we are finalizing the details around the exhibitors, but so far, as I'm speaking to you, there's over 100 companies that have already taken exhibition space. It will be at the ICC.
Okay, without giving away too much, you want to talk about what type of industries these people will be coming from?
Yeah, mostly the manufacturing sector, others that are in the food sector, and others that are in the clothing sector. The modest clothing is a huge market that we've seen globally really growing. Apparently, the next biggest show outside of New York Fashion Week is that one that focuses on modest clothing that is hosted in London.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that big.
It's huge, and unfortunately, we couldn't do it quite at the same extent as what you see globally, because KZN, unfortunately, we need to eventually embrace how the showcasing of clothing is done. But that's a discussion for the future.
Well, hopefully we're going to have something like that in the future.
Definitely for the future. But we will be having companies that will showcase. We will put mannequins that are able to showcase the modest clothing, and that's another huge market that is growing. So that's one area that we'll also be marketing and promoting.
Excellent. From a public participation point of view, are we going to be able to come in there and see some of what is happening and product as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. It will be free to the public, but you must register. So there is a website on a TIKZN website, www.tikzn.co.za, where you'll be able to register. But we'll be going on an aggressive marketing drive where we'll be showcasing and of course, marketing World Halal Day, and with our partners as well, Al Baraka Bank and all the others, they'll also be on board.
Okay, excellent. I mean, really, I would love to get either yourself or somebody from your department in closer to the time, because I know you're a very busy man, to come in and kind of talk a little bit about what is happening closer to the time as we're about to get started. But I'm certainly looking forward to coming in there and seeing what product is on show, and to kind of take this whole thing to another level in terms of globally.
No, absolutely. And as part of the program, of course, we'll be reciting the Quran as we start the conference, and even when we close the conference, so that we've been closely guided by as I said, all our partners leading to the World Halal Day. And as part of the program, we'll be showcasing entrepreneurship opportunities, but it's going to be open to the public. We'll have a plethora of speakers from different segments of the different sectors. That will be showcasing opportunities in those sectors, and again encouraging entrepreneurship and showcasing how entrepreneurs can actually gain and participate in different opportunities.
And Neville, who would you encourage specifically to attend this type of an event?
There's 4 groups that immediately I would encourage. The youth. I think it would be important for them to see and go and understand what business concepts are about, what entrepreneurship is about, women-led businesses, those that are already in business, that are producing product and would like to grow their market base, and those that are interested in exporting their product. Okay. So those would be the 4 groups that I would most certainly strongly encourage.
And if an exhibitor ends up making the necessary contacts and is now in a situation where he's ready to start exporting, would Trade and Industry KZN hold their hand and take them through their process?
Yes, absolutely. We don't only do market access for companies, meaning we don't only take them to international markets, but we also train them to get into the international market. Wow. So that when they are in the international market, they understand the language of international trade. We work with a number of agencies. There is a program that is also funded by Transnet Port Terminals that we are assisting emerging exporters with. And those are some of the programs that we actually take out to the market, where you're already producing product. You don't only want to sell your product in South Africa, you want to branch off. So through the Transnet Port Terminals program, we're able to then train you, teach you the language of international trade, and you're able to then start exporting your product.
And if somebody who's listening to us tonight decides that they still want to be part of this, but they haven't as yet booked a stall or been, or is there still opportunity to take on people?
Absolutely. There is an opportunity. It may not be an opportunity to showcase your product, but it's most certainly an opportunity to participate in the program. And most certainly would welcome delegates from KwaZulu-Natal. Okay,
excellent. Neville, certainly been very, very enlightening, I think, speaking to you tonight. From your perspective, Trade and Industry KZN, message to the Muslim community.
This is a great opportunity for you to come and meet businesses, not only global businesses, but even our own South African businesses. Sometimes you don't know what your neighbor is doing until you start talking to your neighbor. So that's one area that this platform will create that opportunity for you to see what other businesses are doing, see how you can participate, and most certainly reach out to Minara Chamber as well to see how you can also have greater participation within our show. We strongly encourage, the halal sector is a sector that has been kept quiet, and through the initiatives and efforts such as for individuals such as Solly Suleiman, Ibrahim Patel, they've really done a lot to market and position the halal sector. And those are people that, we need to continue embracing and talking to, because through their leadership, we're able to see greater development in terms of the halal sector. Ibrahim Patel has been the one really pushing a lot in terms of the sector, taking delegations to Malaysia, to Indonesia, etc. And now, we are now realizing the fruits of that labor now with this global platform coming here to KZN.
Well, two very fine gentlemen indeed you've mentioned there, Solly Suleiman and Ibrahim Patel. I've worked with both of them closely, and certainly passionate and dedicated to the cause of everything that they do, but specifically the halal space. Yeah,
absolutely. We're very thankful to them because they're not selfish.
Yes,
they want to see development with not only for the region but also for the country. So those are good friends of business.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think all of us have KZN at heart, and that's the bottom line, is that we want our province to be prospering.
Absolutely.
And in terms of at the facility itself, I'm sure you got lots of Muslim delegates coming through from other countries. You're going to have the Salah facilities, the halal eating places, and all of that, all well set up.
100%. I know that there was a delegation that went through to the ICC today with Sanha to check that, from a compliance in terms of food, etc., the ICC is ready to host the delegations. So as I've indicated, we're working very closely with the agencies to ensure that we can cater for all our delegations that are coming through. But you must remember, it's not only Muslim businesses, it's business people who produce halal products. Right. So some of them will not be Muslim, but they would have been accredited to produce halal products.
And in terms of the foreign delegates coming through, and I believe there are going to be a lot of them, have you managed to sort out accommodation and halal food in terms of after the events, the dinners and things like that? I mean, I'm sure you guys have, it's a mammoth task, but sure.
As I said, the beauty is working with partners that are already in the space. It makes it that much easier because then they can guide us. Minara Chamber has really been working very closely with us, and they're guiding us throughout the process.
Excellent. Neville, we've kind of reached the end of our time. It's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you. Wish you and Trade and Investment KZN every success in this mammoth task that you're undertaking, bringing Halal Day to Durban, South Africa. Really, I'm sure the first time, but a really exciting opportunity. I'm sure to be there. I'm going to come and have a look at what you guys are showcasing, and I wish you every success. Some parting words for the listeners of Radio Al-Ansar.
No, thank you very much for the support, and we really look forward to seeing you at World Halal Day and, of course, the KZN investment in Indaba. We are wanting to reposition KwaZulu-Natal as a province that is really ready to do business. And please come and support the event. And if you are participating as an exhibitor, we really look forward to continue to market your products. And shukran and assalamu alaikum.
Well, from the Muslim community, I need to thank you and Trade and Investment KZN for this initiative of bringing the halal products to the fore. And I'm sure a lot of the non-Muslims that will get to understand what halal is, better. Sometimes there's this negative connotation about halal. For example, non-Muslim goes to a supermarket, sees a non-halal chicken and a halal chicken, and deliberately will not buy the halal one because there is sometimes misconception about what it is. And I'm sure this, by having this Halal Day and bringing all of these foreign people and showcasing halal, it'll clear up some of those misconceptions.
100%. It's about education. I've gone through that process so that I get to better understand the sector and better understand the products that go into the sector. And as I've said, I've had two great teachers, Ibrahim Patel and and Solly Suleiman, who've taken me through their journey as well, and globally as well. We'll have great scholars that'll be coming through from different parts of the world that'll be part of the program to come and actually talk about the halal space, how to enter different markets, and because as you know, each country has got their own standards, and we've got to make sure that we educate our companies that for you to enter. Because you can enter Dubai and the UAE doesn't mean you can enter Qatar. So you need to understand, the requirements and what you're required to do for you to be able to export your products. So those are some of the areas it's all about education, and you're quite correct. Also dealing with the misconceptions around, does it have a different flavor to it's about the preparation and ensuring and the compliance.
Excellent. Well, Neville, thank you so much once again. Zakaria, thanks for being behind the mic today and putting the show together. And closer to the time, I'm sure I'm going to get somebody in again to talk a little bit more about the final preparations and what's there. And those of you who maybe didn't know about this World Halal Day and still want to get involved, get hold of Amina at the Minara Chamber offices. Let her give you a little bit more information and maybe even get to showcase your product in some way or the other at the fair if it's not too late. And think big, think global. Sometimes we get caught up in our own little world down here. But if you've got the right product and you want to put it out there, nothing better than getting to put it out there at the Indaba and the World Halal Day. So with that, it's... Wa alaikum assalam from me, and inshallah I'll see you again next week with another exciting guest on the Minara Business Matters program. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.